So guys, welcome back to yet another video, and today we're actually taking a look at a tech review. And today's tech in question is this mouse right here, the Asus Gladius II Core gaming mouse. And I know this is a little bit unorthodox for the channel, but I've been wanting to change this channel to PC related stuff for quite a while now, and this is finally my chance to do that. So today we're going to be starting off with this mouse review. Now, with that little bit of context out of the way, let's talk about why, if you're looking for a $40 mouse, this might be one of the options that you should be going for. And all in all, I'm going to be giving you all the information that you need for making an educated decision on buying this mouse. With that being said, let's start the review. So the Asus Gladius II Core is a rather interesting mouse because I can't exactly recommend it blindly to you, but I still am able to recommend it for a certain demographic of people. So I'm going to set this apart right away. This is not a light mouse, and if that's something that you're into, then definitely look into other mice like the glorious Model D or the Model D-. And for people that live in the US or other countries, obviously those mice are available to you. But of course, for people that live in Bangladesh, glorious mice are really hard to come by. And recently in COVID, the situation with stock and tech hasn't exactly been very nice in Bangladesh as well, and I'm sure everyone around the world can relate to that. And for that reason, this mouse is actually a pretty good recommendation for people looking to get into gaming competitively in Bangladesh. So let's go over a few technical specifications and give you an idea of what this mouse is all about. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It's a Pixar 3327 sensor, so nothing all that interesting. We're seeing 3360s in mice like the glorious Model D-, so it's a little bit disappointing to see that this relatively recent mouse from Asus uses such an old sensor, but it's still really capable. I have seen great performance in FPS shooters and any game really, and overall I can't say that I'm disappointed by the sensor or that it has been holding me back. It's never spun out or anything, so from a technical standpoint, it might not be the most ideal one, but from a practical standpoint, this is a really good sensor, and it's really reliable too. So, moving on, what you need to know about this mouse's weight is that it's 93 grams, so that's quite heavy if you take in all of the options that we have. Wireless mice are already around 80 grams, and a wired mouse being 93 grams is kind of absurd. But then again, I am fine with heavy mice. I kind of like heavy mice. I'm not a huge oh my god, I need to use a light mouse or I'm not going to be able to flick kind of guy, but you know, different people have different preferences and I respect that. So if you're the kind of person that requires light mice, this is definitely not for you. And another fun thing about this mouse is that it's actually relatively large. It's not that big. It's not something like a SteelSeries Quantum 650. It's not that big, but it is a medium to large sized mouse and I really like it. You're gonna see in the B-roll that it has quite a hump, and that's really good for my kind of grip, which is a claw grip. So the really large hump gives a good base for the back of my hand to rest on, and I really do like the design of this mouse. Curved mouse buttons are definitely comfortable, and it does make it easier to click, and comfort on this mouse is really, really good. The kind of ribbed, shiny / grippy pattern on the sides of the mouse really do provide a lot of grip. It has two side buttons, nothing on the right because this is a right-handed mouse, so people who are looking for ambidextrous mice because you might be left-handed or you just prefer that kind of shape, this is definitely not for you. But for people who are in the market for a right-handed mouse, this is definitely a really good pickup because the shape is ideal for that, and you can see it in the B-roll that I've supplied here. And overall, talking about the shape of the mouse, it's incredibly comfortable, and for gaming after hours and hours, despite the heavy weight, I wasn't tired at all because this mouse is so goddamn comfortable. The mouse buttons are also kind of nice with their shape. They're really nice and large and easily differentiable, so I've never hit the mouse buttons on accident, and that's something I really appreciate because on my previous mouse, the mouse buttons were so small that it was kind of hard to differentiate between them, and it wasn't that tactile anyway. But these side buttons are, and I really do like them for that specific reason. Talking about the kind of surfaces with the plastic, the mouse does use a really smooth matte plastic on the top of the body, and I think this sound is going to help you understand what exactly I'm talking about. See? So it is a really nice and comfortable finish, and overall in comfort I have to give this mouse a 9 out of 10 because it's really, really comfortable. And when it comes to the design, it's a really attractive mouse too. I absolutely love the understated nature of the RGB. There's not a ton of RGB over here, so we didn't gain a ton of weight either, and it just looks great. I'm a kind of guy that loves the minimalistic look. My room might not look that way, but I am a really minimal guy, and seeing a minimal look on my mouse is something that I just appreciate every other time that I die in competitive and I'm about to slam my table. And I look at the mouse and it's like, god damn, that is one gorgeous mouse. Anyways, so I don't know if you can relate to that, but let's move on to some more important stuff. They have a 1.5 meter braided cable. Now, the thing about this braided cable is that it's really durable, but it's not exactly flexible, which is something that I took from JRC's review, and I definitely relate to that. This cable is really strong, but it's incredibly annoying to work with. Like, as you can see, it gets kinked up really easily, and when I'm using it, I definitely have to use a mouse bungee. Now, I don't really have a mouse bungee, so I converted my headphone stand into one, and it's been working just fine. So as long as you can MacGyver some kind of makeshift solution, you should be fine. But yeah, I'm only saying that because this mouse is a budget option, and I don't think anyone that wants to buy this mouse is going to go out and buy a mouse bungee, because that's just gonna give them the budget to buy a better mouse that would have had a better cable anyway. So, back to topic. This mouse overall is a really good mouse, and moving on to something more important, which is the software. And I feel like software is really important with a lot of mice, and I will have to say that Asus's software is kind of hit or miss here. I really like the Armory 2 software. It's not that flashy, it's not very feature rich or whatever. It's really functional. All of the tabs are well laid out, you get exactly what you need to do. The RGB, the mouse settings, the macros, and the DPI settings are really easily accessible. And the installation process, the detection process, it's all really simple and quick and snappy. So that's what I like about the software. The Armory Crate software, though, was really confusing because whenever you wanted to change your DPI on the mouse software and there was an update, you would have to restart your computer. And now there's been about 4 or 5 instances where I was in a competitive match at that time. And to be honest with you, it was such a goddamn bummer to get into this competitive match, realize that my DPI is wrong because my brother just recently played on his DPI, and then I have to just change this setting, and I can't do it without restarting my PC, and that's gonna get me banned. So I've lost a bunch of competitive matches because of that. So overall, what do I think about the build of the mouse? It's pretty damn good. From what I experienced, the top of the body, the sides are really well built. What I don't like are the side buttons are really flimsy. They're very tactile, yeah, they're very easily noticeable. I like that, and they're really big and bulky, which gives you a good idea of which one you're hitting. But the problem with that is that these are really weird spring-loaded kind of ones, and you can hear a weird twang when you press them, and it feels kind of cheap. So as you can see, that was actually really exaggerated because I was flicking these buttons like this, but sometimes when you are hitting these buttons hard, you will notice that kind of twangy, springy feel. So that's something that I didn't quite like. But the mouse buttons, though, are incredibly solid. These are hot swappable on-round switches, which I really like. You don't have to resolder like I had to do with my G1 and 2. And you can just get an extra pair of buttons and just put them in, and that's it. It's really easy to access as well. I'll put some B-roll on about the screws over here, and these 4 sections have rubber grommets that you can take out easily using a screwdriver, and then you can take out these 4 screws to access the body, and you'll be able to swap out these hot swappable switches. And it's really nice to see this kind of a feature in a budget mouse like the Gladius II Core, and I'm really glad that Asus implemented it. I also would have liked the inclusion of a sniper button right over here. It's not something that you see everywhere, and the Gladius line of mice were known for that. I don't know why they took that out of their Gladius line of mice. It was really a defining feature that I liked about their Gladius 2. The scroll wheel is also kind of cheap feeling. It isn't incredibly tactile, it's really loose, and I'm not sure if I like it all that much. It's kind of cheap, but the RGB on it is pretty nice though, and grip wise, definitely not bad. So build quality wise, it definitely is really good, save for the side buttons and the scroll wheel, which are pretty meh, to be honest with you. And lastly, the glides over here are really bad. They're so thin and they get scratched so easily on normal surfaces that you have to use a mouse pad if you, of course you're gonna use a mouse pad if you're playing competitively, but Back then I didn't have a mousepad because I gave it away to my brother, and I used it without a mousepad. I thought it'd be fine, but god damn, it got scratched up, and it's really mandatory that you use it's really important that you use a mousepad for using this mouse, because I know so many gamers that don't use a mousepad even though they play competitively. So yeah, the glides are really bad, the scroll wheel is pretty meh, the side buttons are a little bit twangy, but overall for $40 this mouse is actually pretty good. Now, I'll be going into my in-game experience with this mouse. I did find it a little bit heavy when playing things like Grid Shot and Aim Labs. It got my hand really tired after about 10-20 tries, and on my old mouse I could go for 50 without any problem, so the weight is definitely an issue. But in actual competitive gaming, like in Valorant, I never did get tired after 3-4 matches in a row even, so it's definitely a problem, but only if you're doing really intensive exercises and aim routines. So not a big deal overall. The build quality of the mouse is really good, the sensor is pretty adequate, and it does the job, and for $40 I really cannot complain, to be honest with you. Even though it is an older sensor, it is a reliable one. And another thing to talk about this mouse is that the cable isn't that great, the scroll wheel and the side buttons aren't great, but they do work, and if you can find a way of getting used to the cable, the side buttons aren't that big of a deal, and the scroll wheel isn't a bother either. It's just I needed you guys to know exactly what you're buying. And overall, there's a bunch of compromises to make with this mouse, yeah, but in my opinion, it is one of the most solid and well-rounded mice out there for $40 in Bangladesh right now. Or if I were to convert $40 from 3,000 to 4,000 taka approximately. And I will have to say, this is a really good mouse with really good software. If you don't use Armory Crate, by the way, I'm telling you this right away, get Armory 2. It's way better. Okay, both of those softwares are there, and it's kind of confusing which one you should use. Use the Armory 2, it's way better. Don't use the Armory Crate, and you'll have some really good software to go along with this mouse. The RGB is beautiful, it's really understated. Its minimal and understated design is really nice, and it's something that you can appreciate every time you take a look at your mouse. So in conclusion, great sensor, great grip, awesome feel. It's for medium to large size hands. My hands are about 7.5 inches long and about 3.5 inches wide, I'm not really sure, but my hands are medium sized and pretty large for my height. And basically the idea is that this mouse is great for people with medium to large sized hands, especially for claw grip users and palm users. And for fingertip, it's also pretty good. I use a hybrid of fingertip and claw, so it's actually pretty comfortable in all of these different grip styles. So I think it's got a pretty wide demographic going for it. And alongside that, the overall performance of this sensor after 400 hours of Valorant gameplay and competitive, I can tell you that it is really a blast to use, and it's never given up on me. It's always been a really good mouse to work with, and to be honest, I am really glad that I chose to buy this mouse. But then again, your mileage may vary. There's a ton of stuff that is really subjective about mice, from the weight to the grip, you know, the usual. But there we have it. That's my review for today. That's the Gladius II Core. Hope you guys liked it. And with that being said, I'll see all you beautiful people in the next one. Goodbye.